Hi folks, we're going to take a look at 51b from page 443. So here they want us to find the values of p to make this trinomial a perfect square. All right. So let's recall our memory aid for finding something that's going to create a perfect square. So remember that whatever a is, we're squaring the first, squaring the last, and it's twice the product of first and last. Okay, so since this 4x squared needs to represent the square of the first, that means this must be 2x squared. Okay, here minus 2 times the first, which is 2x, times the last. Well, remember, this is where you have to be careful because this has to be the square of the last. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to call that, say, q. Okay, and then p here needs to be equal to q squared. Okay, because remember, it has to be the square of the first, the square of the last. Okay, so the second number in my binomial is not going to be p, but it's going to be the number squared. It's going to be this number squared is going to be equal to p. Okay, so let's take a look at what we have here. So from the middle term, it tells us that this needs to be equal to negative 12x. Okay, and this here needs to be equal to my p. Okay, so here the x is already there, so that tells me that negative 4 times q has to be equal to negative 12 because I need the coefficients from this expression to be equal to the coefficient here, which is negative 12. So that means q has to be equal to 3. And now, of course, because that last term needs to be the square of this number, p needs to be equal to 3 squared, which is equal to 9. All right, and there's my answer. And if we want to check, well, let's check what happens when we've got 4x squared minus 12x plus 9. Let's see if this gives us a perfect square. Is this equal to, so if I rewrite this as 2x squared minus 2 times 3 times 2x plus 3 squared. All right. Is this equal to 2x plus 3? Oh, sorry, 2x minus 3 all squared? Well, let's check it. 2 squared, twice the square the first, 4x squared. Square the last, negative 3 squared is 9. And 2 times 2x times negative 3. Okay, 2 times 2 is 4 times negative 3, negative 12. Yeah, this works out. Okay, so we've checked that the answer is correct. So just to recap here, what I did is I related my perfect square to that memory aid that we have. So whatever's in this first position, when you square it, has to be equal to 4x squared. We were able to determine that needed to be 2x. Okay, this number here squared was going to be equal to our p. We just had to figure out what number that was, the q, and that's where I use that middle term, is twice the product of the first and the last, and from there I was able to determine that q needed to be equal to 3, and so p, which was going to be 3 squared, had to be equal to 9. All right, that's it for this one.